So hello, welcome. My name is Mary Esther Malloy. I am with Mindful Birth NY in New York City. And I am also the mother of three children. I have two teenagers and a 10-year-old daughter. And I am a labor support doula. I have been teaching childbirth classes for over 15 years. And for 18 years, soon after my first son was born, I have been leading parent support group, and I have been leading a mindfulness-based listening exchange type parent support group. And so about 10 years ago, I really opened it up more to many more families in New York City, and it really has been growing ever since. So right now we have a number of mindful new parent support groups and toddler groups as well. And it is a thriving community of parents showing up for each other. And I'm really honored to be part of these communities. And so glad to share some of what we are doing here. And I will invite you as we begin here to just settle for a moment and to think about somebody who raised you. So it might be a parent, it might be a step parent, it might be a grandparent, it might have just been a mentor who was in your life. And I'm just going to ask you to think about a way in which they had a degree of presence for you as a young person. So we're just thinking back and calling to mind the feeling of being in the presence of somebody who had a sense of presence to a young person. And as we think about mindfulness for parenting, I'm going to share a definition with you. Being aware and accepting of our present moment, exploring with curiosity and compassion. I'll say that one more time. So being aware and accepting of our present moment and exploring the present with curiosity and compassion. So those of you who are parents and who are listening, you know that there are many, many challenges to this project as a parent. We get overwhelmed, we get tired, we can be isolated. It is a pandemic. The conditions for parenting have been quite stressful, and we often are not our best selves. And so mindfulness is a series of practices and an approach that can help us anchor ourselves in the present as we are working with a young person's big emotions, as we are working with what feels like a power battle that we've gotten locked into again and again, and we go round and round and round. Mindfulness is a way of interrupting some of the noise in our heads, some of the noise from the past, some of our worries about the future, and coming back to the moment. This is the practice. And it's not just about the moment, it's how we are paying attention to the moment, right? This is the quality of acceptance, exploring the moment with curiosity, having compassion for ourselves and for the other younger, smaller people we are working with in the moment. So let's have an experience, and then I'll say a few more words about this interesting thing of kind of sorting out the past and the present, because as we become adults, oftentimes we kind of have a feeling of like, yeah, I've got this, cruising through my young adulthood. And then at whatever point we have children, and sometimes we are a bit knocked on our sides, we'll say, from some of the stuff that can come up for us, because we may not have been around young people so much. And now here we have our own young person going through all that they are going through, and there really can be resonances that come up from our own childhoods, from how we were raised, and sometimes it can be quite surprising, the intensity of it. So we're going to work with mindfulness as a practice that can be a support in these moments. So we're going to start with a very simple movement practice, and there are elements here that can just be incorporated into any given day or time. So we're going to interlace our hands, our fingers rather, and turn the palms outward. Very simple. And then with awareness, we're going to raise those hands up and follow your hands with your eyes and open up the chest and really get a sense of expansion, of space. Especially if you have young children, you spend a lot of time tipped forward. And breathing in and out, I'm going to ask you to introduce a light layer of tension over the entire body. Breathing in, hold your breath just a moment, and big exhale. Float those arms down and pause. Nice breath. And just notice. And let's do it again. Same thing, interlacing those fingers, sweeping those arms up, looking up, sense of expansion, breathing in and out. Introducing a light layer of tension all over the body. Hold your breath. Exhale, float those arms down, and again, pause. So we're moving and then pausing. And in the pausing, we're just noticing, we're dropping in. How is the body right now? When we drop into an awareness of the sensations in the body, we are interrupting the verbal centers in the brain, the chatter, the ruminative thinking round and round and round. We want to cultivate a practice of pausing. We're going to turn the chin to the right, breath in, breath out, sweep around, chin to the left, breath in, breath out, sweep around to the right, and around to the left. Just noticing sensation, coming back to center, and a nice deep breath, an awareness of head, neck, shoulders, even just resting into the sensations. The stress reliever, we're going to make fists, we're going to tighten the muscles of the arms, and we're going to pump the shoulders up and down. When we are stressed, these shoulders are often creeping up. So right now we're going to pump them up and down. This could be something you can invite your children to do with you. So here we go. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Keep those fists tight. Pump, 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 pump. Shoulders up to the ears. Breathing in, hold breath. Big exhale. Letting go, pausing. Breathing in and out. And one more time, making fists, tightening the muscles of the arms, shoulders up. We're just going to pump those shoulders. Pump, 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 pump. Shoulders up. Deep breath in and big exhale. Let it go. Just noticing the sensations of muscles lengthening. And then just placing your hands either palm down or palm up on your lap. We're going to do a short sitting practice. When we begin a sitting practice, we often lower the gaze or close the eyes. And then two basic points. We want to sit upright, point number one. So feeling the length in the spine, almost as if you had a string on top, just very gently raising you up just a few centimeters. And then point number two, we want to welcome some ease. So even as there's an upright quality, there's also ease. There's also some relaxation. There's letting go. So you might just briefly scan the body and observe if there are places of tightness, of holding, and these might be habits. Sometimes these habits are even difficult to detect. It's almost as if you're just listening into the body. Where is there holding? And then you might go to places where it is easy to let go. So perhaps your fingers and your hands, the palms of the hands, can rest just a little bit more. Perhaps the muscles of the forehead, between the eyebrows, can release. The muscles around the eyes, around the mouth, the tongue, the shoulders. And then as we settle in, 2 or 3 or even 4 nice deep breaths, filling the torso with oxygen. Long, slow exhale, activating the calming parasympathetic nervous system. Deep breath filling the body with oxygen. Long, slow exhale, and allowing this breath to awaken awareness, our capacity to observe, to know, to watch, to be present to. Allowing your breath to settle and just gathering up your attention and bringing your attention to breath, the movement of air in and out. It can be sometimes helpful to settle the awareness in a certain area and bring in this quality of curiosity, noting perhaps the temperature of the air as it moves into the body, through the nose, and the temperature of the air as it exits the nostrils. Or perhaps the rise and fall of the chest, the expansion and contraction of the lungs, of the rib cage, with the movement of air. Or the rise and fall of the belly. And of course, the mind will wander. It's what minds do. Our minds make thoughts, much like our mouths will make saliva, our heart pumps blood. The mind makes thoughts. So we're not getting rid of thoughts. In fact, we're welcoming them. We're noting them and allowing them to move on. Working with this gentle cultivation of concentration, coming back again kindly to the breath. And noticing where the attention is. Perhaps it's gotten caught in planning or thinking or rehashing a conversation from earlier. Things still to be done in the day, all good. It's what the mind does. Just allowing those preoccupations to fade. Coming back even with a nice deep breath, an awareness to the length of the spine, this upright quality, this relaxed, calm body, and settling again on the sensations of breathing. This next breath. And then opening the awareness to the sensations of the body breathing. Opening awareness to the many, many sensations in the body. Sensations in the upper part of the body, torso, the shoulders, the head and neck. Tingling, pulsing, contact with clothing, the temperature of the air, and an awareness of the lower half of the body. Contact with the surface you're sitting on, soles of the feet on the floor, and tingling, pulsing, pressure. And opening the awareness to the body as a whole. Noticing all that the body is touching, all that this organ of the skin is in contact with. Noticing the volume of the body, the weight, and the places where the body ends and the space around it begins. And noticing, thinking, and just coming back. The body as a whole, this moment. And closing this practice by coming back once again to the sensations of breath moving in and out. Blinking open your eyes and stretching, moving. So that was a practice, a formal practice, a sitting meditation. Began with some movement where we moved and then paused and rested, dropping awareness into the sensations of the body. And then we shifted into a sitting practice, which involved bringing awareness to our posture, upright but relaxed. And then bringing our attention to breath and opening it to the sensations of the body. I would like to offer a very simple, short practice that is very applicable to high intensity moments of parenting. It is the STOP practice, STOP. S stands for stop. T, take a breath. Make it a nice big one. O, observe. A moment to drop in and notice. How am I? How's my body? The state of my emotions? How's my mind? And then P, proceed into the next moments, and perhaps taking perhaps moving into the next moments with even just a little bit of the centering that was possible there. So a practice to incorporate, STOP, stop, take a breath, observe, proceed back into the fray of parenting. So let me just say a word about the experience of parenting here. Oftentimes when we are parenting, as I was saying before, there can be echoes from the past. And a clue to these echoes from the past can be moments where we lose our best thinking, where we feel overwhelmed or flooded with emotions as a parent. Times where we feel very reactive, where we are shooting from the hip. Times where we hear things fly out of our mouths that we have promised ourselves we would not say. These are clues that something is getting touched in the present moment that is activating something from long ago. Um, to have a 2-year-old is to remind yourself of what it was to be two and all those emotions. To have a 6-year-old, right? We remember what it was to be 6. And sometimes there, if we were going through a challenging experience when we were that age, such as the separation of parents, sometimes things can get very cloudy and challenging for us in the present. And so, just to say a word here, um, from neuroscience, what we have learned is that pleasant experiences as we go through our lives have a timestamp. So, if you were at the beach in, as a child in, let's say, the 80s, and you had a wonderful summer on Cape Cod, we'll say that's where I would often go, and you happen to see a shark attack, let's say. If you did not get a chance to really like cry or shake with your fear and be held and heard, it's possible that that traumatic experience then is something that can actually hang out with a very kind of live wire through much of your life, right? So if it's just our wonderful summer on the beach, we get a timestamp, right? The summer of 1989 at the beach, summer, wonderful, great, filed away, doo, 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 nice and neat. If, however, there is this traumatic element to something that happened there, it's like this free floating thing. And there are associations that can trigger this fear experience you had from the past. So, for example, in the present, you go to the beach, you see a rock out there, and you're suddenly have this heart racing feeling. Just a rock, but you're not sure what you're seeing. This is from our evolution, right? This negativity bias where we are looking for safety based on dangers from the past. Let's say, for example, in that summer, your parents fought a lot and ended up separating or divorcing. You might, as an adult, when you go on vacation, find yourself bickering with your partner and, kind of testing safety in the relationship. Who knows, right? Just examples of how the past can live in the present. When we parent our children, we want to be as present and fresh thinking as possible. And so when there are elements from our past that are free circulating and causing high reactivity in the present, there can be some benefit to figuring these things out. And what I do very often in these mindful parenting groups is we are offering each other mindful listening. And it's an opportunity to talk about and not be alone and isolated with those challenging times we all have as parents where we lose access to our best self, and to give ourselves an opportunity to explore what's coming up and potentially even heal aspects of what has gone before in a way to be as present as possible to our children and who they are and as they and who they are. How does this happen? Well, when we call up difficult things from the past, but in the presence of warm, attentive listening, as we, a bit of that warmth gets attached to that memory and it kind of loses some of its charge. And as we practice this with each other, parent to parent, it is also something we can really bring to our children so that if there is a big emotion that's coming up in relationship to a scare they just had with a dog or a child who was bullying them in school or nursery school, and there's a lot of upset going on, it's a practice that enables us to, in our moments of just wanting to fix and solve or perhaps lecture or teach, to actually offer our children this attentive, aware, kind, respectful listening, to give them space for the feelings, for the for whatever they might need to say. And it can be quite challenging to hold this space, which is why we need each other. which is why we can practice with each other. As parents, it can be quite challenging to find a lot of alone time for retreats and yoga classes and meditation practices. And so I am a big fan of building community of other parents and offering each other this attentive listening as a way to be more whole ourselves and be more present as parents. So I think we will leave it there for now. Thank you so much for listening. And I will invite you to take a nice deep breath as we close, and we will do the very simple stop practice. So S, stop. So we're just pausing. T, taking a breath with awareness. O, observing, noticing how the body is now, how the mind, the emotions are. And P, proceeding. May you be well, may you be safe and happy. All the best.